The story begins inside a university, where a deadly zombie virus suddenly starts spreading among the students. At first, only a few people transform into zombies, but the infection spreads quickly as they begin biting everyone around them. Within minutes, the situation becomes uncontrollable, and the remaining survivors are forced to fight for their lives. During this chaos, the first infected girl attacks her classmate San. He manages to escape from her, but before he can recover, another zombie attacks him from behind. To protect himself, San pushes the zombie away, grabs a nearby iron rod, and stabs it. But as the zombie is dying, another zombie appears to mourn her, showing that these infected people may still have some kind of emotional connection. After escaping the zombies, San and his group rush into the science faculty department. Ning quickly plugs in her phone to charge and calls the professor, asking him to take care of her sick mother. The professor then asks about her brother Nan, but Ning tells him that Nan is not with them. Before the professor can say anything more, Ning hangs up, because the noise has already attracted several zombies toward the lab. Confused by Ning's panic, the professor turns on the television and watches the news. There, he learns that an emergency has been declared in Bangkok because the zombie virus has spread inside Bangkok University. Realizing the danger, the professor immediately goes to check on Ning's mother, whose condition has become extremely serious. He considers using an antidote on her, but for some reason, he decides not to give it. Back at the university, Ning and her group climb out through the lab window and jump onto the balcony. From there, Ning notices her brother Nan and another group of survivors inside the faculty building opposite them. Seeing that Nan is still alive, Ning feels relieved and calls him so they can plan an escape together. But just as they begin talking, a zombie suddenly falls from the building above, terrifying everyone. Their screams attract more zombies, making their situation even worse. The scene then shifts to a few days earlier, where a group of students are seen recording zombie behavior for research. However, this zombie is not real. It is only a girl pretending to be one. At the same time, we learn that Ning's mother is seriously ill. She cannot receive proper treatment because Ning and her family do not have enough money. Desperate to save her mother, Ning approaches her professor for help, hoping he can find a cure. Instead, the professor asks Ning to join his research project, saying it will help her earn money and may also help them discover a cure for her mother's illness. After meeting the professor, Ning returns home with her friend San. While inside the house, San notices a sweater hanging there, and suddenly, he begins having disturbing visions. In his mind, he sees a girl being murdered. While San is lost in these strange visions, Ning's brother Nan arrives. Ning then explains the professor's research proposal to both San and Nan. Soon after, she receives a call from the professor, who asks for her final decision. After this, the scene returns to the present, where Ning and the others are still trapped on the balcony as evening falls. One group is stuck on the balcony, while another group is hiding in the stairwell. They realize that if everyone moves together, the noise will attract the zombies instantly. So, they decide to escape in smaller groups. Their plan is to turn on a speaker first, use the sound to distract the zombies, and then quietly sneak past them. The group puts their plan into action by playing a news broadcast loudly through a radio, hoping the sound will lure the zombies away and create a safe path for escape. Everything seems to be working perfectly, but they fail to notice a zombie hiding on top of a nearby tree. Without warning, it suddenly leaps down and attacks one of Nan's friends. Nan immediately rushes in to help, but during the struggle, the zombie bites him on the leg. After a difficult fight, they finally kill the creature and carry their injured friend away, worried that he may already be infected. Meanwhile, the professor decides to inject Ning's mother with the antidote. Back at the university, however, the survivors face a new crisis. The entire campus has lost power. There is no electricity, no running water, no gas supply, and even the mobile network has stopped working. Cut off from the outside world, they rely on a small radio for information. Through a news broadcast, they learn that rescue helicopters are scheduled to arrive at exactly 10 o'clock in the morning to evacuate any remaining survivors. Determined to spread the news, Ning rushes to the university's control room and activates the public announcement system. She informs everyone that a rescue team will arrive at dawn and urges all survivors to gather on the university rooftop before sunrise. Unfortunately, before she can complete the announcement, the campus generators suddenly shut down, plunging everything back into darkness. At the same time, rain begins to fall across the university. Strangely, the zombies emerge from their hiding places and seem to enjoy standing in the rain. As morning arrives, the story follows two students attempting to make their way to the rooftop. However, the sound of a helicopter attracts a massive horde of zombies, forcing the students to run for their lives. They manage to climb inside a truck, but the zombies continue to surround them from every direction. The situation becomes increasingly desperate. One of the boys fights back, kicking a zombie away while both of them desperately search for somewhere to hide. One climbs onto the truck while the other hides underneath it. Believing they are moments away from death, they prepare for the worst. Then, a stroke of luck changes everything. Gunfire erupts somewhere nearby, drawing the zombies away from the truck and giving the students a chance to escape. The story then flashes back to events before the outbreak. We see Ning's family living an ordinary life. Nan is extremely jealous of San's new phone and even complains to their mother, claiming San bought it using someone else's money. Ning quickly defends him, explaining that she purchased the phone herself using her savings. Their mother reassures them and promises that she will buy Nan a new phone as well. Soon afterward, their mother leaves for work. She normally works as a food delivery driver, but this time she heads somewhere completely different. She meets a mysterious man and tells him that she needs several of the latest phone models. The man laughs and asks if she is ready. After agreeing, a black cloth is placed over her eyes, and she is secretly transported to a hidden scientific facility. Inside the laboratory, Ning's mother enters a storage room to change clothes. While doing so, she hears someone screaming in the distance. Curious and concerned, she follows the sound and discovers a girl lying on the ground, bleeding heavily. Standing nearby is San. This is the exact event San saw during his earlier vision. When Ning's mother calls out to him, San remains silent. Moments later, another student named Joe suddenly begins chasing Ning's mother. As she tries to get away, Joe collapses to the ground, and his condition rapidly worsens. His eyes change color, veins spread across his face, and his entire body starts trembling uncontrollably. Ning's mother attempts to calm him down, while everyone around them becomes suspicious of San, believing he may be responsible for what happened to both Joe and the injured girl. The scene then shifts to an important meeting involving a powerful businessman known as Grandpa, who secretly oversees the entire operation. During the discussion, it is revealed that Joe has recovered significantly. Ning's mother explains that his condition was caused by a drug overdose and that she stabilized him using an experimental vaccine called Anasong. However, the vaccine was still incomplete, and nobody fully understood its side effects. Because of her decision to use the experimental treatment, Ning's mother is blamed for the incident. She is immediately removed from the project and warned that even if Joe fully recovers, he will never be allowed to leave the laboratory. Joe is then kept under observation so the doctors can study how the antidote's side effects affect his body. After the other doctors leave, Joe's grandfather speaks privately with Ning's mother. He tells her that the authorities have already removed her from the project, but he still wants her to remain involved, and he has the power to make that happen. Broken by tension, fear, and guilt, Ning's mother picks up the vaccine and injects it into her own body right in front of Joe's grandfather. She tells him that the vaccine has now become real, and whatever side effects exist, she will experience them herself. She promises to find a cure, but in return, she asks him for one thing. If she fails to create an antidote, he must not harm her children, and if she succeeds, he must move her and her children abroad. After this, Ning's mother returns home and breaks down in tears. Ning notices her crying and asks what happened. But her mother hides the truth and lies, saying she only had a fight with the hotel staff. The scene then returns to the university, where the survivors are still trapped. Nan notices a group of zombies passing by the room and begins recording them with his camera, while the others gather around to watch. At that moment, San notices that the temperature has dropped to 25 degrees Celsius. Seeing the zombies behave more calmly, he tells everyone that these are not ordinary zombies. In the morning, when the temperature was 31 degrees Celsius, they were extremely violent. but now, in the cooler temperature, they seem much more relaxed. He also reminds them that even after becoming zombies, their emotional connection has not completely disappeared. Their classmate Jane, who had turned into a zombie, was clearly mourning another zombie when it died. This makes the survivors start thinking seriously about the zombies' behavior. Somehow, they manage to survive the night with great difficulty, but they know they still have to reach the rooftop in the morning for the rescue. So, they head toward the cleaning section and collect several tools, preparing themselves in case they are forced to fight more zombies on the way. As morning arrives and they begin climbing up, they notice something strange. The zombies, who were once university staff and students, have returned to their old routines. The cleaners are cleaning the area, the librarian is arranging books, and the students are sitting down as if they are studying. Even after turning into zombies, some part of their minds still seems to be functioning. The group tries to sneak out of the library quietly, but suddenly, a girl's phone starts ringing. The sound immediately attracts the zombies. The girl panics and tries to run, but a zombie grabs her and bites her leg. As she struggles, it stands up and bites her neck as well. Her friends try to save her, while the rest of the group moves forward. When the group realizes that two of their friends are in danger, they rush back to help them. But by the time they arrive, one friend has already been attacked by several zombies, and the other has now turned into a zombie herself. She begins chasing them, forcing the survivors to run upstairs. As they flee, more zombies follow them, and the group is forced to fight back using the tools they collected earlier. Meanwhile, Ning and the others who managed to reach the top finally see the helicopter approaching. They wave desperately, trying to get the pilot's attention. But at that exact moment, Ning remembers her younger brother Nan. Worried about him, she leaves the rooftop and runs back down the staircase to find him. Meanwhile, the friend who had recently turned into a zombie continues chasing the two boys who were hiding inside the truck earlier. Desperate to escape, both boys jump into a swimming pool. The zombie follows them without hesitation and dives in after them. Realizing they cannot fight it directly, the boys stay underwater and hold their breath for as long as possible. Eventually, the zombie loses consciousness beneath the water, allowing them to survive the encounter. At the same time, Ning's group finally arrives on the rooftop through the second staircase that Ning had been searching for. For a brief moment, it seems like they have reached safety. However, that hope quickly disappears when a zombie spots Ning. As she prepares to run, she notices an entire horde of zombies rapidly climbing the stairs toward the rooftop. Ning immediately realizes that if the zombies reach the roof, everyone up there will be slaughtered. Without wasting a second, she warns the survivors and tells them to escape. Trusting her judgment, everyone begins retreating down the opposite staircase. Moments later, the zombies burst onto the rooftop. At the same time, a helicopter arrives overhead and begins firing at the infected. The survivors are left completely confused. They have no idea whether the people in the helicopter are there to rescue them or eliminate them along with the zombies. Nobody knows who they can trust anymore. Elsewhere, Pao is attacked by his friend, who has already turned into a zombie. When the others see blood on him, they immediately assume he has been infected and should be removed from the group. However, Pao's brother and several friends defend him, insisting that he was never bitten. The blood belongs to someone else, and they are convinced he is still healthy. The group continues moving forward, but soon they encounter another one of their friends who has turned into a zombie. Strangely, Pao seems to feel an emotional connection toward the infected friend. His reaction makes everyone even more suspicious that he may be infected after all. Before Pao can get close to the zombie, an axe suddenly flies through the air and strikes the creature directly in the head. It is then revealed that another group of survivors has arrived and saved them. With the zombie eliminated, both survivor groups finally unite and continue their journey together. The story then flashes back 4 months earlier, when Ning first started working alongside the professor in his laboratory. After finishing her assigned work one day, she stores her experimental samples in a freezer, sends a message to the professor, and prepares to leave. Before going home, however, she meets the professor and asks the question that has been weighing heavily on her heart. She wants to know when he will finally treat her mother and find a cure for her illness. Ning explains that her mother's condition is getting worse every day, and that they have no treatment available. The professor reassures her that a solution will be found soon, but Ning has another concern. She does not want human beings being used as test subjects for experiments. The professor dismisses her concerns and tells her to focus only on the work assigned to her. Decisions about whether experiments are performed on animals or humans are made by higher authorities, not by them. Shortly after Ning leaves, the mysterious man who originally brought Ning's mother into the secret laboratory enters the professor's office. He informs the professor that Joe's condition is rapidly deteriorating and that they must create an antidote immediately. Otherwise, Grandpa and Joe's father will destroy not only the project, but the entire company as well. The man angrily gives the professor an ultimatum. He has only 3 days to complete the task. From this point forward, Ning can no longer assist him, and he must handle everything on his own. The story then returns to the present. The survivors make their way into the university gym, where they finally get a chance to eat and drink. But even after resting, their biggest problem remains unsolved. They now know that the military has no intention of rescuing them. They witness that reality with their own eyes. If they want to survive, they will have to find their own way out of the university. Meanwhile, the professor continues desperately searching for answers. While reviewing old research materials inside his office, he discovers the work of another scientist. Among the documents are numerous photographs and studies involving jellyfish, a discovery that may finally hold the key to understanding the outbreak. After discovering the jellyfish research, the professor begins studying it deeply. He learns that certain jellyfish in the world have a strange form of immortality, meaning they can survive in a way that makes them almost impossible to kill naturally. Believing this discovery could help complete his own work, he immediately orders jellyfish through the same man who had pressured him to finish the research. Back in the present, the survivors continue thinking about how they can escape the university. At that moment, San shows everyone the video he recorded of the zombies. While watching it carefully, they notice something unusual. All the zombies are moving in one direction, as if they are following an invisible command. They are not wandering randomly like normal zombies. This makes the group realize that the zombies may have a leader, almost like a queen zombie. Just like bees or insects follow their queen, these zombies also seem to be obeying one central figure. One girl says that if they can find this leader, they may be able to stop or control the entire zombie horde. The story then shifts to a few days earlier. The professor visits an old woman who works at the same university. He tells her that he can slow down her aging and cure the diseases that come with old age. All she has to do is accept one injection. But he gives her one strict condition. After receiving the injection, no matter what happens to her body, she must not go to any doctor. She must come only to him. The old woman becomes nervous after hearing this, but when the professor offers her a large amount of money in exchange for participating, she agrees. She is not the only one. The professor has already convinced several other people to take part in the same experiment. That night, while he secretly takes all of them to his laboratory, a boy named Jin sees everything. In the present, Jin remembers that moment and begins connecting the truth. He realizes that the zombie virus may have started because of the professor's experiment. While Jin is still thinking about this, some of the survivors say they cannot just sit around and wait to die. They decide to find the zombie leader and end it. A group of boys then plans to get close to the zombies, secretly record them, and observe who they are following. Even though Ning tries to stop him, Nan joins the group as well. They quietly reach the auditorium and film the zombies inside. What they discover confirms their suspicion. Every zombie inside is following the old woman. Whenever the old woman moves or waves, the zombies copy her actions. Jin immediately recognizes her as the same woman who was taken by the professor that night. Now he understands that she is the leader of the zombies, and if they want to stop the horde, they must kill her. Meanwhile, Pao, who was already suspected of being infected, suddenly attacks one of his friends. Everyone struggles to save the victim, while Pao's brother tries to defend him. Embarrassed and desperate, he insists that Pao is not infected. According to him, Pao is only mentally unstable, and that is why he is behaving this way. After seeing how dangerous Pao has become, the group locks him inside a room. They also move the boy he attacked to another place, but one girl feels sorry for Pao and tries to release him. When she approaches him, Pao tells her that the zombies are better than humans. At least the zombies stay together, while humans keep separating and turning against each other. He says he hates human behavior and wants to become a zombie too. Hearing this, the girl finally understands that Jin was right. Pao's mind is no longer stable. Realizing he cannot be trusted, she leaves him locked inside. A short while later, Jin and the others return. But when they check on the boy Pao attacked, they find him dead with an axe buried in his head. From the situation, it becomes clear that Pao must have killed him. The injured boy begins turning into a zombie right in front of everyone. The group freezes in fear, not knowing what to do. But one boy, who is carrying a gun, reacts immediately. He shoots the infected boy and ends him before the transformation can fully take over. After this, everyone begins searching for Pao. They soon find him inside the auditorium, shouting at the zombies and begging them to bite him. He tells them that he wants to join them. Hearing his cries, the group rushes in to save him. One of the boys, who no longer wants Pao to live after everything that happened, raises his gun to shoot him. But the others stop him before he can pull the trigger. The commotion attracts the zombies, and within seconds, the entire group is surrounded. Everyone runs for cover, but the boy with the gun stays behind and fights. He keeps shooting the zombies one after another, trying to hold them back. But his gun does not have enough bullets, and soon, he runs out of ammunition. The zombies close in on him, leaving him trapped. Ning and San immediately rush to help him. Even without bullets, the boy continues fighting the zombies using another weapon in his hand. For a moment, he manages to survive, but the number of zombies becomes too much for him. Seeing this, San makes an emotional decision. Instead of saving himself, he risks his life to save the boy. Somehow, San manages to kill the remaining zombies and save him. Ning becomes furious and shouts that they have all gone crazy. She tells them this is not the time to make emotional decisions and orders everyone to follow her. She quickly leads the group into the university lab for safety. Inside the lab, the boy who first tried to kill Pao is still filled with anger. Ning notices something terrifying. A zombie has bitten him on the shoulder, which means he may already be infected. But at that moment, she chooses not to say anything. The boy loses control completely. He yells that he had warned them to keep Pao tied up. Because of Pao, so many people have died, and because of San's emotional decision, everything has become worse. Overwhelmed by rage, he pulls out a second gun and shoots San multiple times in the head. Then he shoots Pao as well. Finally, before anyone can stop him, he points the gun at his own head and takes his own life. Everything happens so fast that no one gets a chance to react. Ning stands frozen in shock, while Dan breaks down, crying loudly over the loss of his friends. Ning sits beside him and tries to console him. As Dan cries, he suddenly remembers something San once told him. San had mentioned that Ning was secretly working with the professor on an experiment. They were trying to create a medicine that could cure Ning's mother. The moment this thought enters Dan's mind, he begins connecting everything. A few days earlier, Dan had seen several poor university staff members standing outside the professor's room. Among them was the same old woman they now believe is the leader of the zombies. Dan starts realizing that the zombie virus must have been created because of the professor's experiment. As this truth begins to sink in, the story flashes back to the past. We see that the professor created a medicine using a small jellyfish, hoping it could cure Ning's mother. But no one could have imagined that something so tiny would end up turning so many people into zombies. The professor was under intense pressure from his family and the people funding the project. He worked day and night to prepare the experiment. But in his desperation, he made a dangerous mistake. He did not test the medicine on smaller creatures like rats or monkeys first. Instead, he directly used human beings as test subjects. After giving the vaccine, the professor instructed everyone who received it to return for checkups if they felt unwell. At first, everything seemed normal. But as the days passed, the people who received the vaccine slowly began feeling worse. Soon, the infected test subjects begin feeling dizzy and start hallucinating. As the days pass, their condition becomes unbearable. One day, the old woman notices a strange, sticky liquid coming from her waist, so she immediately goes to the professor for help. After examining her, the professor realizes that her body is in a terrible condition. When the old woman asks what is happening to her, he says he cannot answer yet and needs to run a blood test first. A day or two later, the blood test results arrive, and the professor is completely shocked. The old woman's blood is filled with countless parasites. He cannot understand how a human body could possibly contain such things. While he is still trying to process this, he receives an email about the jellyfish he had ordered for the experiment. The email reveals that some of those jellyfish were infected. That is when the professor realizes the horrible truth. The parasites came from the infected jellyfish he used in the vaccine. Once the vaccine entered the human body, the parasites began multiplying inside the victims. With the professor frozen in shock, the story returns to the present. Inside the lab, Ning reads through the professor's entire experiment and discovers the truth behind his research. Jellyfish have the ability to regenerate themselves, heal their bodies, live for a very long time, and in some cases, almost defy death. Believing this power could cure diseases, the professor used jellyfish to create his vaccine. But his biggest mistake was that he never checked whether the jellyfish were infected with any disease, virus, or parasite before using them in human trials. After understanding this, Ning is filled with regret. While discussing everything with Dan, a new idea comes to her mind. She tells him that if she can find the exact vaccine formula, she may be able to fix everything and create an antidote using the right jellyfish. The problem is that the professor wrote the vaccine formula in his diary and locked it inside a safe. Neither Ning nor Dan knows the password. While searching the lab, they notice a USB flash drive lying nearby. Dan suggests checking it, hoping it might contain a clue about the vaccine formula or the safe's password. To access the USB drive, they need a computer, which means they must leave the lab. But before they can do that, a terrifying problem appears. San, who was left outside, has come back to life as a zombie. Ning and Dan know they have to stop him, but they have very few options. Then Ning remembers the gun that was used earlier to kill their friends. Dan comes up with a risky plan. He says he will distract San, while Ning goes out and grabs the gun. Ning agrees, and Dan successfully draws San's attention away from her. Ning rushes toward the gun and tries to pick it up, but her hands are shaking from fear. The gun slips and falls, making noise. San immediately turns toward her and charges. Just before he can attack Ning, Dan jumps in from behind, grabs San, and punches him hard. In that terrifying moment, Ning finally overcomes her fear. Realizing there is no other choice, she helps Dan put an end to their friend San. Afterward, they return to the lab and wash San's zombie blood from their bodies. Meanwhile, the remaining survivors barely escape the zombies and return to the gymnasium. They are devastated by the loss of so many friends, and they have no idea what has happened to Ning and Dan. Their biggest question now is whether they should fight the zombies or find a way to end the outbreak, but they still do not know how. They begin carefully watching the videos they recorded earlier. Nan notices something important. One zombie had bitten one of their companions, and after that bite, the infected person developed an emotional connection with that zombie, almost as if the zombie were his parent. From this, the group realizes that when a zombie bites a person, that person becomes its descendant, like its child. This means an emotional bond forms between the zombie and the one it infects, similar to the bond between a teacher and a student, or a mother and a daughter. The survivors notice one more important detail. Among all the zombies, the cleaning lady is the only one who moves around on her own. After she moves, a few zombies follow her, and then others follow them, almost like there is a hierarchy among the infected. This makes the group understand that the people first bitten by the cleaning lady formed a direct connection with her. Then, the people bitten by those infected victims formed their own connections, meaning all the zombies are somehow linked back to the cleaning lady. After building these theories, the only thing they still cannot understand is how the cleaning lady became a zombie in the first place. She is the one who turned everyone else, but who infected her? Just then, one boy reminds them that the cleaning lady worked in the natural sciences faculty, the same place where Ning also worked. They are close to discovering the real source of the outbreak, But before they can continue, the conversation takes another direction. One boy says it does not matter how the cleaning lady became a zombie. What matters now is how to stop her. A girl in the group suggests that killing the cleaning lady may be the only way to end all the other zombies, just like killing the queen of a hive can destroy the entire colony. But another boy disagrees. He worries that if they kill her, the zombies may not die or calm down. Instead, they could become even more violent. Then the girl gives another idea. Since these zombies still have emotional connections like humans, they can capture the cleaning lady and use her as a hostage. If the zombies care about her, they may not attack the group. Everyone agrees that this plan sounds safer than killing her directly. Now, the real challenge is how to capture the cleaning lady. One boy explains that the zombies still follow their daily routines and go to work every morning. So, the cleaning lady will most likely return to the science faculty in the morning, and that will be their best chance to catch her. The group chooses a boy named Fu as their leader. Fu explains that they will enter a room inside the science faculty and lure the cleaning lady there. According to him, this is the safest method to trap her without attracting the entire zombie horde. The scene then shifts to Ning, who finally plugs the USB drive into the computer. Inside, she finds a video recorded by the professor. In the video, the professor begins explaining how the entire disaster started with a project called Anasong, which he and Ning's mother had once worked on together. The professor reveals that Ning's mother was actually a brilliant scientist. During the Anasong project, a major mistake happened, and Ning's mother took the blame for it. But the mistake was not really hers. It was caused by another colleague. Ning's mother accepted the blame because that colleague had discovered her secret affair with the professor. Ning's mother did not want the truth to come out. She was already divorced and had a daughter, and in that society, the scandal would have destroyed her reputation. So, on that day, she left the research company and also walked away from the professor's life. But soon after leaving, she discovered that she was pregnant. Even after learning this, she refused to return to the professor or restart their relationship. Instead, she chose to raise both of her children alone. Because she had taken the blame for the failed research, no research facility was willing to hire her again. With no other option, Ning's mother was forced to work ordinary jobs, including working as a waitress and a delivery woman, just to support her children. Years pass, and Ning and her younger brother Nan gradually grow up. Then, one day, Professor Roy approaches Ning's mother with an unexpected offer. He explains that Grandpa has established a secret research laboratory and needs her expertise for an important project. At first, Ning's mother refuses. She had left the world of scientific research behind many years ago and had no desire to return. However, Professor Roy assures her that the work will remain completely confidential. No one will know she is involved, and in return, she will receive a large amount of money that could solve many of the financial problems she has struggled with for years. After giving it some thought, Ning's mother finally accepts the offer. Once she joins the project, she discovers something shocking. The research is actually a continuation of the Anasong project, the same project that had been abandoned years earlier. The goal of the project is to create a medicine capable of reactivating dead cells inside the human body. Beyond that, the researchers hope to develop an advanced version that could potentially bring a person back to life. Joe's grandfather, who is funding and overseeing the project, is not interested in immortality. Instead, he wants to preserve his legacy forever. He dreams of a future where his body will never truly decay after death, and where people will remember him for generations. To achieve this, they need to keep the body's cells active even after death. Since Ning's mother has accepted the job, she begins working on the project immediately. One day, when she arrives at the laboratory, she finds Joe and several of his friends partying inside the facility. Because the laboratory belongs to Joe's grandfather, she cannot openly confront him. Instead, she quietly heads to the changing room to prepare for work. While she is away, Joe, who is heavily intoxicated, wanders deeper into the laboratory with his friends. There, he begins harassing one of Ning's mother's assistants. The assistant is in the middle of an experiment and is preparing to inject a vaccine into a laboratory rat.
Panicked and trying to protect herself, she accidentally injects the experimental serum directly into Joe's neck.
The moment the serum enters his body, Joe begins experiencing strange reactions. Terrified, he demands to know whether she injected him. The assistant is too frightened to answer. Enraged, Joe grabs a nearby container and strikes her violently in the head, killing her instantly. San is present during the incident and tries to stop Joe, but Joe is completely out of control. Hearing the chaos, Ning's mother rushes into the room. She immediately sees San and realizes something terrible has happened. Although they attempt to provide first aid to the assistant, it is already too late. She is dead. At the same time, Joe's body begins displaying severe and abnormal symptoms. The unfinished serum is clearly causing dangerous side effects. Because Ning's mother is the scientist responsible for the project, the blame for the entire incident falls on her shoulders. As a result, the laboratory authorities remove her from the Anasong project. However, Joe's grandfather still needs someone to save his grandson. He hires Ning's mother separately and orders her to create an antidote. At that point, she has no choice but to accept. Since she helped create the serum, Ning's mother decides to take a drastic step. She injects the serum into her own body and promises that she will find a cure. She believes that if she experiences the same symptoms affecting Joe, she will better understand how to stop them. Days turn into weeks, and despite countless experiments and endless research, Ning's mother is unable to develop an antidote. Every attempt ends in failure. Eventually, Joe's grandfather suggests that she seek help from the one person who might be able to solve the problem, Professor Roy. Hearing his name brings back memories she has spent years trying to forget. She remembers her past relationship with the professor and everything that happened between them. But this is no longer the time for emotions. The situation is too serious. Determined to save everyone, Ning's mother agrees to meet Professor Roy. During their very first meeting after all those years apart, she reveals a shocking secret that changes everything. She tells him that Nan is actually his son. After revealing the truth, Ning's mother explains her entire situation to the professor and begs him to help her create an antidote. The professor agrees, but because she had hidden such a major truth from him for years, he no longer wants direct contact with her. That is why he decides to bring Ning into the research instead. In the professor's recording, he makes one thing very clear. The decision to create the antidote using jellyfish was completely his own. Ning had no role in that choice. If the antidote caused any side effects or serious consequences, he wanted everyone to know that he alone was responsible, not Ning. He then admits that he made a terrible mistake. He tested the antidote on desperate humans and watched the consequences unfold. But he also tried to correct what he had done. He created a new antidote using bacteria-free jellyfish serum, hoping it could cure both Ning's mother and Joe. After hearing all this, Ning is devastated. She cannot believe what the professor has done. In anger, she smashes the computer, but Dan quickly stops her before she completely loses control. Ning then goes to the freezer and takes out the correct antidote the professor created. With it, she may finally be able to save her mother. But at that moment, she is unsure what she should do next. Meanwhile, the other survivors have already begun their plan to capture the zombie leader. They enter the natural sciences faculty and spread out across the department. Each of them carries red and green cloths, so they can silently signal one another without making noise. A moment later, they hear a heavy thumping sound. The zombie leader, the old cleaning lady, has arrived for work early in the morning. As soon as they realize she is there, everyone becomes alert and starts preparing the traps they have set for her. The story then flashes back once again, showing the day when the professor's injected test subjects first turned into zombies. The temperature that day was extremely high, reaching 51 degrees Celsius. Because of the unbearable heat, the guard standing outside faints and collapses. At the same time, the old woman, who was the first person to receive the serum, notices a large, blood-filled swelling near her waist. Suddenly, she collapses to the ground. The swelling bursts open, splattering blood everywhere. Veins rise across her face, her eyes become covered with a strange web-like pattern, and within moments, she stands up as a dangerous zombie. One by one, the other infected people begin experiencing the same painful transformation. Their bodies suffer as if they are dying, and within just a few minutes, they turn into zombies. The first transformed victims immediately begin attacking the humans around them, spreading the infection at terrifying speed. Soon, the number of zombies inside the university becomes greater than the number of humans. Chaos breaks out across the entire campus. Back in the present, the cleaning lady heads upstairs toward the lab, while Ning and Dan are also leaving. When Ning sees the old woman, she remembers their previous interaction and wonders if some part of the zombie might still remember her. She thinks about speaking to her, hoping there may still be a human mind trapped inside. But the zombie only stares at Ning with empty eyes. When the others notice that the old lady is not moving forward and their plan is failing, Nan quickly raises his voice to lure her into the trap. Hearing her brother's voice, Ning immediately becomes alert and rushes toward him. Before Ning can reach Nan, the zombie falls into the room where the group has set their trap. They quickly grab the zombie by its legs and drag it back inside. When Dan sees that they have captured the zombie leader, he steps forward without hesitation. He places a cushion over the zombie's mouth and fires several bullets into her head, ending her. The entire group is devastated. They had spent the whole night planning to capture the zombie leader alive, but Dan ruins everything by killing her. Their only chance to control the horde may have been destroyed in a single moment. The scene then cuts to the professor, who is with Ning's mother after injecting her with the antidote he created. But before the antidote can fully take effect, Joe's father's men arrive. They take both Ning's mother and the professor to a secret facility. On the way, the professor sees the government burning down his university. The sight breaks him, because he knows the disaster happened because of him. Because of his experiment, hundreds of innocent people are now suffering and dying. After reaching the lab, Joe is furious with the professor. He believes the professor failed to complete the research properly. But when they test Ning's mother, they discover something shocking. Her body is recovering rapidly, which means the antidote is working. Seeing this, Joe's father immediately orders the antidote to be given to his son. But the professor explains that he only created 2 tubes. One has already been used on Ning's mother, and the other is still inside the university. The professor then tells Joe's father the truth. The zombie outbreak at the university happened because of his greed and the experiments he forced them to conduct. The professor is filled with guilt, but Joe's father shows no emotion at all. Before leaving, Joe's father tells the professor that as long as people do not discover the truth, they are still safe. All he wants now is the remaining antidote inside the university lab. So, he sends the professor back to the university by helicopter. The professor agrees, but only on one condition. He wants to bring 2 people with him. Joe's father accepts. Meanwhile, inside the university, the survivors are still trying to figure out how to escape and fight the zombies. The girl who has been observing zombie behavior notices another zombie knocking at the door. She explains that this zombie must be a second-generation infected, directly created by the old lady. If they can control this zombie, they may still be able to influence the rest of the horde. After understanding the situation, Ning makes a dangerous emotional decision. She decides to infect herself using the old lady's blood. By injecting that blood into her own body, she believes she may be able to control the other zombies. Dan immediately tells her she has lost her mind. He says there is no need to make such a reckless sacrifice, but Ning refuses to listen. As she prepares to inject the old lady's blood, Dan tells her that she is just like her mother. Instead of solving the problem properly, she is trying to escape from it through sacrifice. Still, Ning does not change her mind. So Dan pulls out a gun and points it at her brother Nan, hoping to stop her. Ning calmly tells him that she knows he will not shoot Nan. Before the argument can continue, the door suddenly bursts open and a massive horde of student zombies charges toward them. Fighting such a large group is impossible, and escaping is barely possible. Everyone begins running upstairs to survive. Dan deliberately stays behind because he has a gun and has already fought many zombies before. He prepares to hold them back, giving the others a chance to escape. Dan is sacrificing his life to save everyone else, but in that terrifying moment, no one has time to think about him. The others finally reach the top and desperately try to close the stairwell door with all their strength, hoping to stop the zombies from reaching them. In the middle of this struggle, they suddenly hear the sound of a helicopter. It is the same helicopter carrying the professor. When Ning sees him, she becomes extremely excited and quickly shows him the tube of antidote in her hand. The professor feels relieved after seeing the serum, because now he does not have to search the university for it. He immediately orders the helicopter to land. As soon as the helicopter lands, Ning and two other girls run toward it, but the guards with the professor pull only Ning into the helicopter and push the other girls away. Ning is shocked as she realizes the truth. They never came to rescue everyone. They came only for the antidote in the professor's family. The professor then begins shouting Nan's name. When Nan sees that the helicopter has come to save him, Ning also calls him and begs him to come. She tells him not to listen to anyone else because this is not the time for emotional decisions. She wants him to save his own life and leave with them. Nan slowly takes a few steps toward the helicopter, but then he looks back at his friends who are still struggling against the zombies and risking their lives. The thought of abandoning them breaks him. Even though Ning keeps calling his name, Nan cannot bring himself to betray the people who fought beside him. At that moment, the girl who has always been jealous of Ning and Nan watches everything with anger. When she realizes that the professor came only to save them, her hatred takes over. She is holding the syringe filled with the old lady's zombie blood, the same blood Ning had prepared earlier. In a fit of rage, she injects the syringe into Nan's throat. Nan is instantly infected with the zombie virus. Seeing this, Ning is completely shattered. But before she can do anything, the professor escapes in the helicopter with her. Meanwhile, the others finally manage to close the upper door and stop the zombies from coming after them. The scene then jumps 1 month later. Joe has mostly recovered, but he still has not regained consciousness. The same condition is seen in Ning's mother as well. However, during a conversation, Ning's mother suddenly wakes up. When she opens her eyes, one of them appears enlarged in blue, suggesting that even the antidote has dangerous side effects. The story then returns to the university 1 month later. Nan is shown tied up with ropes. He is transformed into a second-generation zombie. But through him, the survivors are able to influence and control the other zombies, which helps them survive inside the university. And with this, the series comes to an end.